Boris calls it a great new deal. But it isn't great, it isn't new, because 95% of that withdrawal agreement is exactly the same as that put before the Commons and voted down 3 times by Mrs May. This is a reheating of Mrs May's EU treaty. We have effectively placed a border within our own nation between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. We have agreed to give away a very large sum of money to sign up to a new legally binding EU treaty. This, if it is to pass, will not get Brexit done. I've said from day one that the acid test of Brexit would be fishing. It would be, do we take back control of our territorial waters as recognised under international law? It actually says in the document that we'll become an independent coastal state. So that sounds great, doesn't it? Until you read the EU's definition of what is an independent coastal state, in which says that the management and regulation of our fisheries must be done in a non-discriminatory manner. That means you cannot discriminate between individual countries. It means we carry on with a common fisheries policy, but we just have to find updated agreements on our quota share. We've been told today that we're taking back control of our money. Well, who doesn't want to have control over their money? But of course, any further extension to what they're now calling an implementation period, any extension to that will mean 10 to 15 billion pounds more every single year. And what they're not telling you is that our relationship with the European Investment Bank meant that we left in those negotiations £7 billion of our money on the table. Philip Hammond didn't even attempt to get back £7 billion of our money from the European Investment Bank, and after we've left, we are liable for any outstanding future problems that come if there's a major meltdown in the Eurozone, which could be as much as 30 or 40 billion pounds. We are not fully taking back control of our money. We are not having a clean break. It is too expensive by far and poses a completely unacceptable risk. And something that is buried within the withdrawal agreement, we are actually making a commitment in an international treaty that our foreign policy cannot diverge from that of the European Union. You cannot be an independent state and not have your own foreign policy. I hope many MPs look at that before they vote. If we do sign a new trade agreement with the European Union, they've got a dispute mechanism. And guess who the arbiter of the dispute mechanism is? It is the European Court of Justice, who will make binding rulings. That is what the Prime Minister is asking the House of Commons to sign up to tomorrow. This is not taking back control of our laws. It is utterly dishonest to say so. It is not a clean break. Brexit voters want no jurisdiction from the ECJ over our country in the future at all. I noticed on ending the free movement of people, they've come up with a new word. It's called mobility. But the worst part of yesterday's speech, and the clue as to where we're going in the next few years if this treaty passes, is what Michel Barnier had to say about regulatory alignment. And I say this in the light of what Angela Merkel said on Monday of this week. Now, I'm not wont to quoting Angela Merkel very often. It doesn't cheer me up particularly to do so. And she, by the way, was the only person yesterday in Brussels not smiling. That's because she never does. But she said on Monday After a meeting at the Élysée Palace with President Macron, she said, with the UK leaving the European Union, we now face a potential competitor that could work alongside China and the USA. So her nightmare is that we leave, become competitive with German industry, and this is something that clearly vexed her very greatly. Well, please, press pack, if you don't read any other single thing, read clause 77 of the political declaration, which commits us to having, ahead of any new trade deal, a level playing field on employment legislation, social protection, all environmental law, state aid. So if we wanted to help British Steel, we wouldn't be able to, even though in theory we'd left the European Union. And can you believe it, even on taxation. If they think that our taxes are too competitive, they will deny us a trade deal in the future. All of this means, if we sign up to this and head down this new negotiation, and if the Prime Minister was to succeed, that we would never, ever be able to become more competitive than our European neighbours. Never able to seek that opportunity of becoming richer and more successful. And what it means is that in vast swathes of our national life, we will not be making our own laws for our own people in their own industries. We'll have to continue to conform to European Union laws. And this, ladies and gentlemen, this is not Brexit. This is not what we voted for, and this is not good enough.